do you get off?
I just don't get why you're saying it that way.
Why I'm saying what way?
Forget it.
I will forget it.
Battle Shonen. We all know them, we all love them, or we all hate them depending on who you are. Battle Shonen are always so common. They're very common nowadays. They've been some of the most popular series that have hit all parts of the world, but it's really great to see mangaka come up with new and creative and fun powers. There's a few series that I would say hit the top of the charts in terms of creativity and just make things that are really fun, interesting, and memorable, and a couple of those series are Soul Eater, Hunter x Hunter, or Hunter x Hunter depending on who you are, Full Metal Alchemist, and today's series in question, Magi. What started out as an adventure across new lands to find the wonders of the world became one of my favorites super quickly. So today, ladies and gentlemen, gather your weapons, develop the courage, prepare your gins, and let's embark on an adventure to look through the series known as Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic. Based upon the setting of classic stories such as The Adventures of Sinbad and Arabian Nights, Magi takes place in a fictional world that is filled with massive castle-like structures called dungeons. These structures are said to be filled with treasures, wonders, and above all, magic weapons. Many legends have been born from conquering these dungeons, many going on to form kingdoms and become great individuals. This is where we meet Alibaba, a cunning cart driver that has dreams of heading into a dungeon one day. Along with him, we meet a mysterious little boy named Aladdin, who has a very odd characteristic. His flute can summon a blue man from it. Alibaba and Aladdin become quick friends, the two of them craving adventure from the moment they meet. They decided that they were going to conquer a dungeon and become rich and famous. This leads them into the dungeon, freeing a slave girl, obtaining a weapon called a metal vessel, and discovering that Aladdin is a special person called a Magi. Trust me, I was shocked too. It's Magi, not Magi. Magis are capable of seeing the flow of life, where the dead and living go along a set path. These small creatures of light, called the Rook, taking the form of birds, help them show how everyone is connected into this mortal coil. Along with this, everyone has the ability called Magoi, which gives everyone certain abilities. Magis can obtain their Magoi from the Rook, making them special for everyone else. Magi were created to help find the next people that should be kings, specifically created from King Solomon to make it easier for future generations. With this new revelation, Aladdin and Alibaba leave the dungeon to head off on a new adventure. Now, Magi's story is very interesting, because at first, it's a small-scale adventure series that has magic and silly boob comedy. But then it turns into a political drama that has war and silly boob comedy. Truthfully, I love this story. It has about 4 main story arcs, and each one upped the scale and increased the stakes from the last. Moral ambiguity carries Magi a lot as well, because you grow attached to the characters from each of the different nations, and then you don't want them to fight because each of them have good points, and they're sometimes good and then they're sometimes bad, but you don't know who to side with. Specifically in the War with Ku, which is one of the later arcs, I don't know who I really wanted to root for. But that's what made it great, seeing all sides of the argument, and then Alibaba just has a nice chat, and it's all good. Up until the ending, I had a lot of fun with the story. Otaka really was trying to rewrite the fabric of reality and get away with it, but at some points, it was crazy confusing. But I'm okay with that. The ending though, even though it wasn't bad, was obviously rushed. It threw all pacing out the window and ended super quickly. I didn't mind the ending because it did all the things that it needed to, but it left no time to really sit and elaborate on what just happened. This isn't a case that it was a bad ending and it was rushed, because I did like the ending. It just needed to slow down for a second. So even though the ending could have done better, I still greatly enjoyed the story. Now, something that Magi has in large supply is characters. Like, so many characters. Some don't matter, some matter, and some are just kind of there. With a large quantity of characters, I can't possibly go over all of them, but luckily the series has made it very clear who the main cast is and who we really need to pay attention to. First up, we have our first character, Aladdin, the boy with the mysterious flute that is secretly a Magi. Aladdin is curious, innocent, but loyal to his new friends. Aladdin is trying to find out where he came from and who he is, but everyone he meets along the way becomes his friend. The second character we have is Ali Baba, a headstrong and confident boy that stands up for justice. He defends what he thinks is right and tries his best for whatever cause he is backing. Ali Baba's past helps define how he molds his future, and he's very dedicated to helping everyone. The third and final major character is Morgiana, a strong and fearless girl that used to be a slave until Ali Baba freed her. She wants to try and find where her original home is, while also helping out the new friends that she has acquired. She's grateful for her freedom and strives to become stronger. Otaka makes it pretty clear that these three are the main characters that we are following, as we are always sticking with these three to see how strong that they are getting. We're seeing how they are progressing throughout the series in comparison to everyone else. Some could argue that Prince Hakuryu, a prince from the Ku Empire, is one of the main characters. I'd say that's a fair argument as well. Outside of those main characters, we have some other great characters that are also pretty important as well. There's the Dark Magi Jadar, Titus, the rest of the Ren family, the Seven Seas Coalition, and even King Sinbad. King Sinbad is an absolute unit that could quite possibly blow up the planet in a single breath, depending on the day. Each of the characters are entertaining, fun, powerful, and just a joy to see. The best part about a lot of these characters are the Jinn that they possess. Now, the Jinn are the rulers of the dungeons, and many of the characters that are introduced have these crazy powerful Jinn that are just so cool to see. Seeing Jinn equip battles are so fun, just because the Jinn themselves have such a creative and cool design to how they work that it never leaves a dull moment throughout the series. I'd say the most iconic part to Magi itself is the magic system in the Jinn system, because to me, it has advanced levels to it, but it's also very easy to swallow and keep up with. My one major complaint about the characters really isn't about them as a whole, but one character in particular, Morgiana. After the second major arc, which is about volume 20, we hardly see her. For most of the series up to this point, we've seen her train with Aladdin and Ali Baba and fight for the same goals, but Morgiana just kind of falls off and doesn't do much in the later half of the series, even though we see her do the exact same things as Aladdin and Ali Baba, making it seem like she's just as important, and that really stinks, because she's honestly one of the most powerful and interesting characters in the whole series. She isn't like a Sakura to the degree that she just doesn't do anything, but she has a couple of cool moments in that last entire arc, just a whole lot of nothing. Overall, the cast is spectacular, very entertaining, compelling, interesting, and they keep me wanting to read more and more. I'd say 10 out of 10 cast. Magi's art is one of its best qualities, as most action scenes are done very well. The art is nothing that I'd say is the best that I've ever seen, but I definitely enjoy the action scenes and Jinn equips. I will say though, at the beginning of the series, I really enjoyed Aladdin's design, and I still do, but at the beginning, I just thought it was fantastic. I think it just stuck out in comparison to a lot of other battles shown out at the time. One thing that Magi does really well, believe it or not, is that it's really funny, and the art really supports that. Sometimes the art is like this, and then sometimes the art is like this. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to a very, very good friend of mine, Ali Baba Saluja. Magi has been in my collection for a very, very long time. I mean, look, here's a picture right here from all the way back in 2015, and boy oh boy, I did not realize that I was reading gold. Magi sets out to provide the readers with a series that has a colorful cast, a fun magic system, a crazy story, and it sure as heck delivers hard. I fell in love with the series all the way back from when I read the first volume in 2015, and then I collected all of it, and upon my reread, I still fell in love with it all the way to the very final volume, and it kept me so entranced to see what was happening with this world and what was going on. I stand by my statement by saying that Magi is one of the most creative and interesting battle shonen or battle manga that we've seen in a long time, and I think that everybody needs to give it a shot. My one major complaint, if I were to complain at all, because overall I still love the series, is, like I stated earlier, I think that the ending was pretty rushed, but I still enjoyed the ending. I definitely thought that everything was wrapped up, but it just felt really quickly paced. I still wish that it would have had some time to kind of draw itself out, maybe a longer epilogue or some time there at the end, but it is what it is, and I'm still going to give it a higher score regardless of what I think about the ending. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that in mind, I'm going to give Magi... Ladies and gentlemen, with that in mind, I'm going to give Magi the Labyrinth of Magic a 9.1 out of 10. You're going to find Magi pretty much everywhere that you're going to find manga. I know that some places they don't have it in very large supply, so a lot of this I was buying online, but at least you can get the first few volumes of Magi. My local Books A Million definitely has its fair share of Magi volumes. That's how I got the first few, but I've gotten the majority for sure online, so it may be a little bit more difficult to find, but they're still not going out of print, so you can find them very easily online. The only format that they come in is obviously you can go on Viz's app and you can read it through there, or you can get just a single volume. There's no omnibus or box set, so these are the only ways that you're going to be able to read it. So please support the official release for this. It's very good. And again, thank you all for watching. I know that we are counting down the days, the final 2 reviews, and I am just ready to get this on out of here. Ready to move on to bigger fish and fry them up. That's how the saying goes. So again, thank you all, and I will see you all in the next video.